Jnanam Paramam Balam. First you have to have the information as to what is it. You need to know what is it we're fighting for, rather than just go on rhetoric. And also, Kushal, there is, we have a lot of voices, so many claims, counterclaims. We would want a reclamation of all the temples that were destroyed. Of course, in an ideal situation, that would be the most ideal and fantastic situation. But first of all, we don't know the numbers, to be honest. There are varied claims. Sitaram Goyalji, in his book, Hindu Temples, What Happened to Them, I think comes up with close to 2000, 1826 or so temples.
Yeah.
Some people also extrapolated to 20,000, 40,000. And 40,000, honestly speaking, doesn't seem like an exaggerated figure, and I'll explain why. Because if you see in this book also, when Kutubuddin Aibak makes his first invasion of Kashi, Hassan Nizami, the chronicler, says Aibak destroyed 1,000 temples in Kashi in that one invasion, and all the wealth was put on 18 camels and 300 elephants and taken away. So in one invasion, if 1,000 temples in just one city could be demolished over 1,000-year, Islamic rule, 40,000 is actually seems like a very small number. But the problem there, Kushal, becomes now Hassan Nizami also says there were 1,000 temples. He gives a number, a figure. So you can add all these chroniclers' accounts and say 40 hai, 1 lakh hai, pata nahi, it can be anything. But we don't know what are the names of those temples. We don't know which are those 1,000. Hassan Nizami doesn't tell you which are those 1,000. So when we talk of reclamation too, I think it's imperative first on the Hindu side to first make our own laundry list. First have that information saying, okay, I want 40,000 back. But if the other side says, Acha bhaiya, can you list all those 40,000 to me and tell me what are the 40,000 for me to reclaim? Can we even give that catalog? So first of all, I think having the proper evidence, which is what Sitaramji did, and that is seminal work, one needs to build on that. So each of these cases where there is documentary proof, there is a weight, like in Kashi and in Mathura also, which is another topic, where there is a wealth of information, epigraphic information, archaeological evidence, historic, literary, colonial accounts, everything. It may not just be Kashi and Mathura. So it can be a longer list. So, and I simply do not subscribe to this, larger, what the larger, Sangh Parivar demands are, that हमें बस ये 3 दे दो and then we don't want any other. I don't think anybody has the right to promise that on behalf of the entire Hindu community, because they are not any official spokespersons. Nobody has given them the right to do that. But it need not be. It could be anything between 3 and 40,000 or 1 lakh or whatever, any number. First, even before one goes and asks somebody back, I need to know what I'm asking for. So invest time in that scholarship, in research, to ensure we list down these, cases. And wherever there is staggering evidence, wherever there has been continuous and uninterrupted worship, like in the case of Kashi, it could have so happened that 600, 700 years ago, our ancestors themselves gave up that place, saying, Chao, yaar, let's leave this. And now after 700 years to rake up, that really does not make much sense according to me. So wherever there is this continuous worship, wherever there is evidence, wherever we can marshal all the facts, first do that, and then the next steps can be decided. Whether for everything we'll have to go to court, file individual cases, which will each take 50 years, 70 years, I don't know how many years, or do we do it in a peaceful, mediated manner, ensure that politicians and courts are out of it, and you bring the dharmacharyas of both communities, you bring historians, scholars, all these people who will act as a because finally we don't want to keep fighting for the next 100. Our great grandchildren also are fighting about some temple and mosque, because India is poised for a big leap to greatness in all ways. So we can't, and as a historian, I'm saying we can't afford to just keep living in the past and living in these fights of the past. So let's make peace with it. A truth and reconciliation would be that, where we document all of this, and then explore various ways. There's no one size fits all for all these, whatever the number. Each one is a separate case. Let us see how to negotiate this through various tools. And these things, I feel honestly that they should not be discussed also openly in media, in platforms. First, you have to do the work quietly. And if you're doing track to diplomacy, we don't openly talk about it, that हमें ये करना चाहिए, this is our strategy, this we will do. I think that is also a little suicidal. Because one needs to work if you really are looking for success. In the case, if one is looking only for, personal aggrandizement, or just to create strife and disharmony, that is another issue. Because ultimately there is a limit to which you can push any community also to the wall. So there has to be some sort of mediated settlement or a court settlement. Court will bring out all the muck out, right? I mean, even in marriages, the judges say out of court settlement karwa lo, because in the court both husband and wife will have all sorts of allegations against each other. So it's better you do uh, peacefully outside. So various things, there's no prescription I can give as of today, but I think the first step itself should be for the Hindu side to start building on the seminal work that Sitaram Goyalji has done. Maybe add to that list, subtract to that list, make a list of these are our priorities, these are our top 50, 100, 200, I don't know how many. And it depends. So a UP person is not someone who will tell that in Telangana or Assam or Kerala, some temple may be there which is deeply important for the people there, which someone in Kashmir or Himachal or UP may not know that this is as important to the people there as Kashi is to all over India. So different buckets of priorities, importance, and then approach it with that view is what I would say, not only as a historian but also as a commonsensical person who would want this issue resolved, and who also has the larger interest of social harmony and communal amity also, which is important to maintain.
Like, I was very open and vocal about it, to be called out that I use this term 40,000 temples. But when I came to know, I became very clear that no, it's 1800 was SR, because if I will quote SR Goel, it has to be 1800. If I'm quoting him, I'm not saying that is the truth.
1862.
Yeah, to be precise, that's something that like that there's a number. And now Dr. Cornell L says that अगर वो उस पे थोड़ा सा ऐड किया तो उसको डबल कर दो ज़्यादा ज़्यादा, but it cannot be lot more than that.
Because the problem in that is that we discount again the ability of our community men, the Hindus, to
Yeah.
rebuild temples. Because even, and you show that in your writings, Vikram has shown that beautifully in his writings, that these people would break our temples, फिर ये लोग चले जाते हैं, थोड़ा हर टाइम बैठे रहते हैं, हम वापस बना लेते थे वो मंदिर,
Right.
बहुत सारे फिर वापस आते बोलते रहे, अरे ये फिर सुधरते नहीं है, इन्होंने फिर बना लिया. And then they would. So this is why I read that bit, was like history is a very complex subject.